There is something on the purchase and sale that you as a consumer will not see until you go to write up a contract. If you are a buyer and you go to the listing agent directly, chances are this might never be explained to you. And this is where you lose money and you lose protection. On every purchase and sale agreement since 2024, since if you heard about the settlement statement that took away sellers paying buyer agents, they before it used to be one fee, now it's two fees. A seller can still choose to pay a buyer agency fee. It just doesn't show up in MLS like it used to, so agents don't know what that is, and buyers are clueless about this. So what a lot of buyers tend to do now is they go directly to the listing agent thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get the best deal because the listing agent is going to want to work with me and I don't have to pay a buyer agency fee." It is true that the listing agent will gladly write up an offer for you. They also only work for the seller. Buyers miss this. This is like the biggest piece, the biggest piece where buyers get stiffed. A listing agent only works for the seller. It it does not matter who you are or what you say or what you think you can negotiate. Maybe you are top sales in whatever industry you are. Maybe you're a multi-million dollar sales person in your industry. When you come into real estate, it's different. And I'm not trying to make what you do smaller, but I want you to understand what you don't know that happens behind the scenes in real estate so that you don't get stiffed. You may think you're negotiating strong, but you don't know what's going on the other side when you do not have a buyer agent. A buyer agent is the one who goes to bat for you. And a buyer agent can find out things and find out if the seller is potentially paying a buyer agency fee. So you're thinking, I'm saving money by not having a buyer agent. I'm going directly to the listing agent. I hear this all the time, and I'm going to get the best deal. You have no protection in that. There's no buffer zone for you. You're diving right in, and you are probably going to pay the most when you do this. Here's why. As a buyer agent, yes, there's a fee involved. If you're working with me as a buyer agent, in the beginning, we clarify what that fee is. Now, many sellers are willing to pay the buyer agency fee. They want buyer agents to bring buyers to their property to sell them. This is how it works. There's two sides to every transaction. So either the listing agent is working on both sides, truly only working for the seller, writing up the offer for you, but they can't represent you unless there was a prior signed buyer agency contract that you had with them specifically. And that happens sometimes. That's a dual agency, disclosed dual agency. Doesn't happen that often. But for the most part, we're talking about you as a buyer, you want to buy a house. You think you're going to get the best deal, walking in, open houses, calling listing agents. Hey, I want to make an offer. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to get the best deal ever. I'm the top negotiator. You're a top negotiator in other scenarios. I get that. And I don't want to minimize that for you. But when we work together, you're going to know every step of the way, and I will tell you, and I will protect your information, but I will tell you every step of the way what's going on. So when you come to me, you're safe to say, I can pay 2 million for that property. I only want to pay 1.6, right? And we can have a conversation about it. And we can see, and I can bring up history. I can dig into MLS and I can find a lot of information to support your offer. However, if you went directly to the listing agent on a $2 million house and the house has been sitting for a little bit and you're like, I want to offer 1.6, and she's like, seller will never take that. So you start to come up in price to a point where you feel comfortable if you really want the property. If I'm your agent, I'm making your offer that you want to make, and I am going to do my best to support that offer. And if you have to come up in price, it's not because we didn't provide all the information and we didn't prepare the situation for you to get the best deal possible. There's also a part in the purchase and sale where the seller, we can ask the seller to pay your buyer agency fee. And it was added in after the settlement several years ago. They changed they changed how it was reported, how sellers were paying agents, agencies. Agencies get paid, and then the agencies pay the agents. They changed that part with the settlement statement in 2024, and they changed our purchase and sale from 5 pages to 6. And here is what page 5 now looks like. And it has this professional fee. See this professional fee right here? This is where we request the seller to pay part or all of your buyer agency fee. It's in every single purchase and sale contract in the state of New Hampshire. There's a space. They put a space for this because sellers are still paying buyer agency fees. Buyers who go off on their own miss this. And this is a big piece of the purchase and sale. We may not know whether the seller actually said they would to the listing agent or would not. And a lot of times it can be negotiated at any time in this offer. Don't want to confuse the situation. But the professional fee, the buyer agency fee, can be written right here. Seller agrees to pay X% of buyer agency fee at closing. Now, it becomes a negotiation point, right? They can say no if they never wanted to pay a fee, or based on the price you offer, maybe they're like, you know what? If I'm giving you a deal, I'm not paying the fee. Or maybe they give you the deal and pay the fee because they really want to sell. You miss this whole opportunity of saving money when you buy a home, when you go on your own. This is not, you can watch this video and you can go to a listing agent, and when they know you fell in love with a home and you start to try to negotiate those parts and pieces, they can read. A good listing agent can read a buyer. They can tell how much you want that home and whether you're going to stay or whether you're going to walk away, depending on, you know, what price. Like, it's part of our negotiation. If we're a good negotiator, we read this stuff on behalf of our seller. And I tell you what, I've negotiated many a properties where buyers came directly to me and I got the buyers to pay more because I knew how badly they wanted the property. I knew what their goals were. We had conversations. Like, there are so many tells, and if you're a good salesperson, you already know this. Like, you know there's tells when somebody wants something. So you, as the buyer, are not going to do as good of a job because your emotions are going to show up at some point. It's going to come out in some little tidbit of a part of the conversation you're having, and you're going to end up paying more. 99 times, 99% of the time, you're going to end up paying more. Do you want to pay more? No, the whole goal for you is to pay the least. So as a buyer agent, that's what I help my clients do, is get the best price and get the best deal when they're buying. A good buyer agent can explain all these things in detail to you, can explain the buyer agency contract, can explain how the negotiations work, can help you immensely. And it will be such a burden lifted from you because you won't wonder. Imagine sitting out on the lake and you're in the sandbar and you just happen to be next to people who knew the seller. And they're telling a story about how the seller got so much more because the buyer went directly to the listing agent and that buyer was you. How would you feel knowing you left that much money on the table? That's an awful feeling. Nobody wants that. And I get it that maybe you've worked with buyer agents before, maybe they haven't been strong, maybe they haven't represented you in a way that you felt really good. We are not all the same. We are all 1099 independent consultants in real estate. You have to find the right one. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you if you are in buy mode. whether you buy this year, next year, you're just checking out the market, but you really want the protection so that when that house does come, you already have everything in place. We have already had the conversations. I already know how to submit the best offer on your behalf to get you the best deal. You can talk to any of my clients. This is what I'm really good at is like give me contracts all day long to negotiate because I love what I do, because I love working hard for my clients and making sure they don't get stiffed and that they get the best deal possible. My name is Michelle Palys. I live and work in the Lakes region. My office is in Guilford in Village West. I invite you to schedule a Zoom call with me if you want. We can just chat like this. We can have a good conversation. There's no commitment to hire me until we decide if we're a good fit to work together. I don't work with every single person that comes into my world. Some people have different expectations, and if it's not a good fit, we part ways pleasantly and we say, we wish you well. But I help so many people, and having this conversation is really important, especially if you're out of the area and you need somebody here, feet on the street in all the seasons to make sure you're going to get the best deal. I'm great at that in helping clients. So I would love to have a conversation about potentially helping you buy your next property. And if you're buying and selling, I love that too. Michelle Palys, eXp Realty, Palys Realty Advisors. I've been advising clients for years, 24 years. Thousands of people I've helped save money in the deal. Talk to you soon.